Now, though the bodies of Mariam Kigenda and her 4-year-old daughter Amanda Mutheu finally came to a close 13 days since the car plunged into the ocean, the tragedy has exposed the country's unpreparedness to deal with such disasters. Chamutai Goin reports.
29 September this year, at around 6:30 in the evening, tragedy struck. Members of the public watched in despair as the Toyota Isis vehicle registration number KCB 289C plunged into the ocean. In it, 35-year-old Mariam Kigenda and her 4-year-old daughter Amanda Mutheu. Attempts by the ferry driver to reach them were futile, marking the beginning of 13 days of agony for the family. Day after day, they hoped for good news, but none in sight. The tragedy exposing the country's insufficient disaster management capacity. It took more than 24 hours for active recovery efforts to begin. Kenya Ferry Services had first hired a private company to help recover the vehicle and its occupants. The delay pushing the family to hire local divers at a cost of 250,000 shillings. The divers made their attempts, but the ocean and its elements was unforgiving. They tried their best, but lack of sufficient equipment made it impossible to even try to locate the vehicle. The recovery complicated by the fact that the car plunged into the ocean almost in the middle of the channel. A Swedish diver who offered to help, failing to beat his 2-hour mark. In his words, he underestimated the rescue mission.
It is zero visibility, basically, very deep water and terrible current.
9 days since the tragedy, the family, whose patience was running thin, went across the borders and hired South African divers who came in with expertise and ultra-modern equipment. They, together with the Kenya Navy, diving in. Their first attempt was unsuccessful, but their second attempt located what looked like the wreckage of the vehicle. Friday at around 5 o'clock in the evening, the search and rescue came to an end. The vehicle was finally pulled out and the bodies of Martha Kigenda and her daughter Amanda Mutheu recovered. But have lessons been learned since the tragedy? Eyewitnesses aboard the ferry when the incident happened said the vehicle reversed into the ocean since there was no barrier to even stop the car. But even after the accident, nothing has changed. Just this rope that marks the barrier. The ramp too still leaning into the ocean. Members of the public crossing the channel in their vehicles are also advised to switch off their engines. But this too has seemingly not changed. Questions also abound on whether Kenya's Coast Guard is active and why the ferries plying the Likoni Channel do not have fully effective emergency response provisions in case of a mishap. With the Kenya Ferry Service currently ferrying over 300,000 pedestrians and more than 6,000 vehicles daily across the channel, there is an urgent need to review safety standards to avert a disaster in future. Chamutai Goin, Citizen TV, Nairobi.